Welcome back, everybody. Live on location, Toyota Stadium, FCS National Championship game coming up tonight. We've got the Forum duo here. Jeff Kolpack on my left, Mike McFeely on my right. Combined 33 trips to Frisco, Texas. Not that anybody's counting, gentlemen. Kolpack's got his Big Sky outfit on, which seems fitting. We got a Big Sky team here tonight.
You do know it's in my contract that appearance on Hot Mic, anything less than 32 degrees.
I did not know that.
You're required a space heater.
I'm sorry. I appreciate you gutting it out here for us tonight. I'll start with a question, the elephant in the room that Sam Herder and I were talking about. I know you wrote about it. Is this it? Is this our last go-around here?
It kind of feels like there's a chance. And the NCAA and Matt Larson, the current chair of the FCS Playoff Committee, would not commit to saying that because you can't, and Frisco wants it back. But certainly, because we've been down here a combined 33 times, you get to know people in Frisco and you make some friends and you make some contacts. And they don't want to go on the record saying it, but I've chatted with a couple of them, guys that know what's going on in Frisco. And their feeling is that they're just nervous that it might not come back once it goes away to Nashville. Because Nashville is a destination, and Matt Larson used that word in the press conference the other day, and it's a tourist stop, and it's exciting, and it's fresh, and it's new, and wives want to go there, and families want to go there, and everybody wants to go there to party, and Frisco has been great, and we love it, and they deserve to have a great chance to get it back, but it ain't Nashville.
We were standing in a spot last night doing Fargo to Frisco. That was an open field when we first came here back in 2011.
Oh, yeah.
It's completely revolutionized. The city is just completely different. It would be hard to separate the two, much like Chattanooga and this championship were hard to separate when they moved it here in 2010.
Yeah, I mean, the growth has really just been dynamic. And they're building a high school every 2 years, something like that.
So
think about that
Ryan
growth.
Jones was telling us,
Well, yeah, and as soon as the enrollment of one high school gets to approach 7A status, you build another one so all football teams are 6A. Because you can't compete with Dallas Carter up here.
No, that's the thing. I want to, before we get to the nitty-gritty of the football game, we were at the endless Peyton ceremony the other night. I know we'll talk plenty about the vote. Tommy Mellott won, he earned it. That's the part, and I was talking about this with Sam earlier on the show. The voting, how it broke down, was disappointing to me to see where the votes went to some guys that had no business getting first-place votes. Zach Calzada from Incarnate Word, Gronowski from South Dakota State. That was disheartening, Jeff.
Well, there's 52 voters, correct? And correct. I think I heard you say that maybe it needs to be pared down more.
Maybe, I don't.
How about a committee of 10?
Yeah,
I don't
know.
It's just too many. There's too many people in the room, and there's too many people. Again, it's like those polls. I mean, you have the coaches poll, but none of the coaches vote. They give it to like a manager and say, here, call my poll in, and that's why you have some of those schools in there
getting votes there. That it just, to me, the right guy win.
Well,
yes,
but I'll let me say this: is that Craig Haley does a great job putting all that together, and so this is no knock on him. And I'm going to defend Craig in the process here, because what were we hearing in the run-up to the Heisman Trophy presentation? And the Heisman has, a gazillion voters, about half of who have nothing to do with anything. They're just guys, like they're Jimmy Shimtree off the street gets it's like what, and so we had the same argument between Ashton Genty, his supporters, and Travis Hunter, and that's all part of it.
It goes with it.
I mean, I'm sure if you look through the Heisman voting, if they made it public, that there would be,
there'd be some
guy from Marshall who got a Heisman Trophy vote or something. And so I'd say paring it down even more might make it more controversial, because then it's like a more exclusive country club, and then a bias would show through even more. And the argument that Craig has always had, because I've exchanged messages with him over the years saying, why is this guy voting? He doesn't know what's going on. He says, we have enough voters that's all going to come out in the wash. And the fans deserve a vote, and the media deserve votes, and the SIDs deserve votes. And so I'll defend Craig in the process. I think mostly over the years, the right guy has won. And as we've all said, either guy who won on Saturday, it would have been a deserving winner.
Does Easton Stick win with 52 voters?
Oh, good. That's a good question. What do you think?
It depends on the 52 voters.
Yeah.
And Sam hit on this too, is this has been a criticism of mine of FCS media over the years. Made a lot of friends this way. Is It's just not a national thing.
It's not,
There's no, besides Sam Herder, who does a great job, and Craig Haley does a great job, there's no real national media that cover it, and so everybody's in their silo. And that happens in the Valley. They're in their silo in Grand Forks. They're in their silo in Sioux Falls. They're in their silo in Murray. And they just don't pay attention to anything outside of their silo.
Yep. Let's talk about the Bison quarterback, because we interviewed him afterwards, and he said a couple of things that stuck out to me. 3 times afterwards, after he finished second, I'm extremely excited to play this game. I'm very excited for Monday. Can't be waiting for Monday. He also, Mike, when I asked him to reflect on the season, he gave a really open answer there to say about, there's a lot of people who thought that I should have been removed as the starting quarterback.
How about that?
Which, my eyebrows raised when he said that, to say, this is validation for the work that I've put in. That goes on top of what he said after the South Dakota State game. This is Cam Miller unfiltered we've seen the last 3 weeks.
Yep. Cam Miller unfiltered, and Cam has always been really good with the media, very intelligent, very thoughtful, very expansive. He's not like a 3-word cliche guy. If you ask him a question, he answers it honestly. But I think a little bit has been removed, and he's just not afraid to say what he wants to say, because it doesn't matter anymore. But I thought it was interesting that he said there were many people most people wanted me removed as starting quarterback. And you wonder if these athletes go on social media or read what we write, and none of us ever said he should be removed. No. Let's make that clear. No reasonable person said he should be removed. The fan base did say that a lot, but these kids pay attention, and Cam, it clearly stuck him over the years.
Yeah, I wrote the column when he came off the bench against Missouri State, replaced Quincy Patterson, and wrote the column after the game that he could have moved on. And he didn't, because most players, again, that was when the wave was starting to go. I mean, there was quarterbacks during that season. That was 2021. There was quarterbacks in that season who were bailing after 2 games into the portal, and he stayed. And he said, basically, that's not how my dad raised me.
That was an attribution to his dad there for all of that. But and that goes back to when we were in this state in that game. We were talking about it with his dad at the Peyton ceremony about that game at Sam Houston, that he was thrown in as a true freshman, started 2 games. They brought Quincy Patterson in. That didn't work, and Jeff mentioned that Missouri State game. That changed everything, and he's been the guy ever since.
And I've always written this in all of my plauditory or laudatory comments toward Cam Miller is NDSU had an open public quarterback competition that they turned into like a video series. And that was so weird at the time for the school to do that. And I don't know the mechanics behind it, but Cam was like on video having to go through this battle with Quincy Patterson, and then Quincy won the job, right or wrong, and Cam had to kind of endure that. And it was just weird. And he never left after that, as you guys said, when he could have. And it's all worked out great for him in North Dakota State, and a credit to him and his dad and his family.
And he could have left after last year,
correct,
too, with a coaching
he had opportunities there as well.
He's also, Jeff just found out this morning, got invited to the East-West Shrine game. So for that, we were talking about potential of the next level. Now there's a shot there that's going to come up later this month.
Yeah, I think we knew he was going to get a shot. I mean, just looking at his stats, very accurate thrower, 69% completion percentage. And he's, one of the all-time great quarterbacks in NDSU history. That automatically right there, I think, gives you a shot. He's not going to get drafted. I don't think he's big enough. But he's certainly going to get a shot in some free agent of some sort. And you never know. I mean, there's 3 quarterbacks on every roster, and not all 3 are good or great for NFL purposes.
I mean, frankly, if Mark Gronowski goes back to college, that opens up a spot in the late rounds for a quarterback to be drafted, right?
And we don't know what Gronowski's status is. It's out there right now.
But my draft guides, Dane Brugler from the Athletic, has said that Gronowski would be drafted if he went, and he would be a 5th to 7th round draft choice. So if he doesn't, then I don't know if Cam is the next guy up. I don't know that, but it's a possibility, I guess.
Certainly helped himself with an all-star game performance.
Yes.
That's not going to hurt. Before we go to our next segment, we'll talk actually about the football game. We're out here already. I see plenty of Montana State flags. I know we were down at the Star last night. They had their pep rally. It felt to me like when we were here in 2012 and 2013, this Montana State really believes this is our year, and we're coming to support it, Jeff.
Yeah, like I said on Fargo to Frisco last night, it's fresh to them. They've been here once, but now this is you feel like they think it's their chance, which it
certainly
very well
like
could be.
Yep.
Right. And I think it's going to be the first time NDSU is going to be pretty vastly outnumbered. It's just a guess, but it feels like that in the home field advantage, if you will, on a neutral field. It's just NDSU needs that Nashville game if they ever get back to this title game, because it's something different. Yep. And I've heard that a lot. Like, I'm not going this year, but if they make Nashville, I'm going. I mean, you hear that a lot.
Well, actually, Bison fans say when we go to Nashville, not if. There's no ifs with Bison fans, because this is the 400th time in the last 300 years they've been here. But I get your point.
Yeah, it's Frisco fatigue. Totally.
Yeah,
I mean, 11 times. I was gifted a little button the other day, 11 for 11. Like, all right, thanks.
But you see it. We've been around. I mean, there are Montana State fans everywhere.
Yep.
They really believe this is their time to shine
tonight. It feels exactly, and you're right, Dom, it feels exactly like those first couple times. The second time. The first time, remember when all the Bison fans drank the hotel out of Bud Light, and that was the story. Then the next year they had
everything,
the pep rally.
not just Bud Light.
Yeah, right.
The baseball stadium.
The next year they had the pep rally in the baseball stadium, and it was full.
Yes.
There was like 10,000 Bison fans at a baseball stadium. That's what it feels like with Montana State, with Gene Taylor on the field going, "We're gonna win," and just like openly just saying they're gonna win, and no filters there either. Great seeing Gene last night, by the way, at supper. But Montana State, and that good for them. The FCS needs this enthusiasm. Yes. It doesn't need Montana State to win, although everybody wants them to win, but it just needs some new blood besides NDSU and South Dakota State.
Yeah, it's been 40 years. I mean, 40 years since Montana State has won, and Vig Sitzo, he's talking about there was a 40-year reunion this year in Bozeman of that team, and the quarterback from the year comes up to Vigs and goes, it'd be nice to have a new team to root for.
To celebrate.
To celebrate.
To celebrate and honor them. We'll break. We come back. We'll actually get in the X and O's of this football game. What are the big matchups we're going to be looking for coming up tonight? Hot Mike continues live here in Frisco. Yes?
My bobber just went down over there. I drilled a couple holes over there. So Jeff, if you could run over there, I think it's a crappie probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll do it after the show.
We're back on Hot Mike right after this. Location, Toyota Stadium, FCS National Championship game coming up 6 o'clock tonight. Back with one more segment with Jeff and Mike. Email comes into the show. Mike, is it a day of mourning tomorrow when Northern Illinois officially accepts its invite to the Mountain West Conference?
Yes. When it was reported on Friday or Saturday that I tweeted out that this is a dark day in McFeely world when that happened. But you know what? It's you have to adjust. There's plenty to write about, and there's plenty to talk about in the FCS world, and it'll all be fine. And
I don't think it's over.
I don't think it's over. I was just going to say the Pac-12. My sources out west, I think some of your sources out west, Jeff, have told us that the next couple of years are going to be interesting because the Pac-12 still needs multiple schools.
There's one team they need.
Yep, and none of these conferences like to have the razor-thin margin. They like to have some backup plans, and so this is not over yet. And I hate to say, I don't hate to say this, I love to say this. Jackrabbit fans and South Dakota media, South Dakota State's going to be in the conversation next time around. Mark it down.
Yep. No question. Yep, no question. 2 states, right.
Jeff, email to you. I find it intriguing it might take an all-time Montana State team to win a national championship against an NDSU team with so many question marks, but they're still in Frisco for an unprecedented 11th time. A lot of teams need their best to show up against a questionable NDSU team the past few years.
Well, I think it's the most flawed Bison team that's been here in 11 tries. I don't think there's any doubt.
The team we were 2 years ago was beat up. Right, I mean that team.
Yeah, that wasn't flawed.
Flawed. If you put a healthy 2022 team on the field with Lipke and Sundell and all those guys, Mason Miller, but to continue Jeff's point, I don't think anybody looks at this as an all-timer NDSU team, and yet they're still down here, which is a testament to that they're not that bad.
Yep.
And Matt Entz was a good recruiter, even though a lot of Bison fans didn't want to believe that when he was here. And Coach Polasek and his staff are good and have re-injected some energy into the program.
Yeah, when I say flawed, I don't mean I mean it comparing to these other teams.
Correct.
You know what I mean? I mean, this is still a really good team. Credit Tim Polasek and his staff for getting him here in his first year, and in a year that could have been, a transition, if you will.
All right, give us a couple keys here. Let's start with Bryce Lance. Bryce Lance just went crazy in that national semifinal win with 3 touchdowns. do they need another kind of performance from him tonight to win this championship?
They need something. Yeah, they need something dynamic to happen, I think, to beat Montana State. The NDSU can't let Tommy Mellott beat you. They can't let Tommy Mellott run for 130, 150, 2-3 touchdowns, get loose a little bit. Now, the question I have is, Trey Lance personally beat James Madison with 30 carries in 2019. Is Tommy? I don't think he's built to carry 30 times.
30 times. Oof, that's a lot.
Yeah, so NDSU's going to have to control their running backs in that running game, and I'm sure Jake Landry. It's not rocket science. The best way to beat Montana State is to keep the ball on your side.
Yeah, I was just going to say that is a lot of this has to be on the NDSU offense to not go 3 and out.
Right.
They have to get some first downs. They have to score touchdowns, not field goals.
Yep.
So I heard Sam mention the you had to bring that up.
Sorry.
Good Lord. Oh, ruined my steak last night. Yeah, they have to score touchdowns, not field goals. And they have to win the time of possession battle and keep Mellott off the field.
Right, and the other key is this. I think they have to get him to the last 2 minutes. Because I don't think Montana State has had to run a 2-minute drill.
Not since New Mexico.
No,
the Mexico game to start the season.
I don't think they've had to, go down to the nitty-gritty and win a game in the manner that NDSU has 2 or 3 times this season.
And I think the Bison will be able to move the ball. Montana State's defense is okay, but it's not with the Jackrabbits, and the Bison were able to do that against South Dakota State.
Bison put up 28 on South Dakota in Vermillion. They put up 28 against the Jackrabbits.
Yes.
And those I think overall were the 2 best defenses in FCS. Yep. Montana State's really good. Couple of really good defensive ends. Number 26, their safety, might be one of the better players NDSU has seen all year. It's going to be a challenge for NDSU, but they got nothing to lose.
Yep.
They're the underdog, and it just feels, again, like all the momentum is Montana State's way. And frankly, Montana State they're the team of destiny, and they're a really good team, but they have all the pressure on them to come through tonight.
Yep. I think NDSU has showed up in big games this year too.
They have.
Except for that first half against South Dakota.
And I would say the last 4 minutes against the Coyotes.
Yeah,
that
too. But otherwise, 2 South Dakota State games. Missouri State came in unbeaten in conference play, and the Bison flattened them. I feel like they've just shown up in big games.
I thought they played defensively wise. The big plays against Colorado, notwithstanding, they were in that game.
Yes.
They were a Hail Mary 4 yards short of winning that football game.
And if the clock operator hadn't let 20 seconds run off the clock, they would have a better chance. But I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be an entertaining game. It's fun to be down here and not look at the matchup and go, well, NDSU's going to win by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, like Towson or something like that.
And even the Montana State game in 21, the game was over when Hunter Lipke bulldozed that poor kid in the end zone. It was over. Like 5 minutes into the game, we went, well, this one's done. Yep. And so I hope it's a good game. I hope it goes down to the last couple of minutes. And, I hope it's entertaining for everybody.
The one thing I want to end with, and I'm going to talk with Kyle about this, what Grant Olson told us back in Fargo about we got to hit him, meaning Tommy Mellott. Not to injure him, but that's interesting to me of how physical they are with him to try to get him down to the ground.
They want to be physical. The 2 injuries that Tommy's had were not because of hits or cheap shots. One was the ankle or the foot, and then the one out in Montana State last year I think was a knee or a leg. They were on tackles. It was like a guy falling on him at the end of a play. But they want to be physical. They want to beat him up. Tommy Mellott is a big enough kid, but he's not 6'5", 230. He's not one of those guys.
He's not like Gronowski.
He's not he's not like Gronowski. And so I think they think if they can get some good licks on him, that maybe they can kind of slow him up a little bit. But doing that is the challenge, right?
Last thing before I let you go, Jalen Duffy not going to go tonight, out with injury, so that means Anthony Shidime Alfaro and Marcus Shepard. Against Montana State's wideouts are pretty talented. Something to keep an eye on tonight.
Well, I feel like they've been dealing with injuries and issues in the secondary all season. Wisniewski, is he going to play or not? And all those kind of dramatic things are going on. So I don't think that's anything new. Anthony, what a great story he is. I mean, Ivy League. This is what happens when you get in the playoffs.
Right? Well, FCS is not going to get any more transfers anymore. The kids, I think the Ivy League, they don't let true. Do they let true? No, you have to play as a true freshman.
Correct.
So you don't get the red shirt here. Right. And so that's Anyway, yes, this is what the Ivy League can be in a couple of years.
No Luke Wirtz either tonight at linebacker, which is just, a guy who's battled it for 6 years, wanted to give it a go, but he won't play tonight either.
Yeah, and this will be the end of his career, which is, that kid worked through some injuries and some tough times, and unfortunate for him not to be able to play tonight. But, you got to play with who's here,
Praise
and
God.
every team has injuries, and we'll find out if NDSU has
Big
enough.
Kubitz game.
No doubt.
Yep.
Boys, thanks for coming out here. We'll see you later tonight, all right?
All right.
You
Go
betcha.
warm up. Mike McFeely, Jeff Kolpack joining us here to wrap up Hour 1. We come back. Kyle Emanuel will join me. 10 years ago, he won his last national championship here and the Buchanan Award. He'll join us. We start Hour 2 of Hot Mike right after this.